This is episode 0. My name is Dave McMorran. I'm the field CTO with Litmus, and would like to introduce you also to my co-host, Sam Elsner. Go ahead, Sam, and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dave. Hey, everybody. I'm the Vice President of Product Experience at Litmus. I've been here for just a few weeks now. Previous to that, spent a whole lot of time in industrial automation with the Kepler team, starting in the support organization and then growing the sales engineering team over time. Previous to that, I did a stint in enterprise IT. I was in data storage and backup systems and virtualization technology back in the mid to late 2000s when Azure was still brand new and VMware was the hottest commodity on the planet. So good to be here. Good to try. I'll try not to regale with everybody with too much history stories over time, but I don't know, Dave, we've had a lot of conversation about it. As you get older, you seem to accumulate things that you assume people are interested
Everybody
in.
knows or are interested in, right? Exactly. Yeah. It's like, so my career basically been in manufacturing pretty much my whole career. On the automation side, I've worked for manufacturers, I've worked for distributors, SIs, OEMs. I've touched on everything from the sensor to terminal blocks and sensors and motion control, PLCs, vision systems, databases, MES, historian, SCADA, everything you see in the manufacturing floor, I've touched, at some point, robotics, pneumatics, all of it at some point in my career.
Yeah, you were at Iconics for a bunch of time too. I think I was at Kepler while you were at Iconics for a number of years.
Yeah,
I'm surprised we didn't cross paths. We might have been on a call or two together, Dave, and just
maybe.
never knew each other from Adam.
It's a small world, right?
I know it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I heard somebody quote maybe like 1 million people in industrial automation and data systems for industry, like that.
Okay.
When you think about the sea of humanity and the large other markets,
there's a little
dot.
Yeah,
there's a tiny dot. Yeah.
And just to kind of talk about, so we've been talking about putting a podcast on, and really what did we want it to be? So one of the things we want to do is, we're not here to talk about Litmus. What we're here to do is that we want to talk about things, technology. What are the trends that we're seeing? Any news that's happening, conceptual types of things, talking about AI, talking about scaling, use cases, all of those kinds of things, keeping it more general on that. And so I think it's just going to be you and I, having conversations. We'll bring in some guests occasionally to talk about things, maybe some whiteboarding sessions.
And then we want to be able to teach some folks some stuff. Yeah. So we'll focus on, there are things just like history. There's technology experience and expertise we've accumulated too. And that may be slightly more valuable sometimes than the wonderful coincidental story tale that we weave in there. But we'll be teaching each other things. There's a lot of stuff that about integrations that I haven't come across yet, and vice versa. So as you and I get to learn from each other, we can broaden that out and let the audience learn from each
exactly. I love that idea. Yeah, with just being able to teach each other and be interactive about it and ask questions that you might that I might have, and getting into the bits and bytes of some of the protocols that are out there and connectivity and those kinds of things, and then we can start talking about. And I know your background in AI is really big as well.
Recent, but
yeah. Well,
accumulating fast. I can't. I know. Yeah, it is huge, but I can't help myself. Yeah.
Anyway, well, good. So basically that's just wanted to kind of do an introduction to it and introduce ourselves, and just go over kind of what we want to do in this podcast. I think next time we'll talk about some of the market trends that are happening out there, and we'll do a deep dive into something technical, and we'll have that teach the teacher kind of thing.
Absolutely.
All right.
Maybe we'll touch on the big market moves that seem to be happening now between September and October and November. There's been a lot of changes for a lot of people across the 1 million or so strong of us in industrial automation. So a lot of big money coming in again. And I think we have a lot of reason to use that term. Maybe we live in interesting times. I think as interesting as the past 15 years have been for me, that in a lot of ways, I expect it to get a lot more interesting. So I think I see it now in a way that I didn't before, maybe, for a number of years. focus really purely on connectivity. And I'm excited that Litmus as a company gives me the opportunity to talk about a lot more things than just data integration from physical systems, which I love and keep dear to my heart. But after 15, arguably maybe 17, 18 years of physical integration between systems, I love the opportunity to maybe talk about data ontologies, talk about analytics, talk about applied AI, in a way that the surface area of my last work didn't. So I'm excited to learn from you as I get deeper into this area.
Yeah, I mean, I think I still get a kick to this day of that, connecting to a PLC and the connected light goes green and all of a sudden data starts coming through and that transition from the physical world to the digital world.
There's something magical about that, right?
The same feeling I got when you had that VB6 button, you clicked it and the machine started.
Button.
It was the same excitement.
When PTC bought Kepware, I thought to myself, I'm going to make a button inside of the HoloLens that you turn my machines on with, and I did, and it was the button thing again. It was like the VBA meets so exciting the 21st century. But that aspect of that physical mystery, I mean, that's why I loved computers when I was introduced to them as a little kid. It's all of this stuff was just happening, and you don't see any moving parts, and you don't understand how any of that magic actually works. And I think my entire life has been just like systematically deconstructing that magic so I can understand it and begin to build it and play with it and help people understand it too. So the physical integration with systems in industry is amazing.
Yeah, I still really think there's something to that, merging of the physical world to the digital world that we see in our space that you just don't see in other places.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would geek out about the data storage vendors who would figure out that hexagons allowed more airflow than circles with less material used, and they could position their disk drives inverted so that the rotational velocity of each drive pair would balance each other out. That is about as physical as a lot of those systems got.
And nobody knows that there's like 5 people on the planet that understand that.
This is a robot arm that's mimicking a human arm, and I just trained its motion, and I can see it. I'm opening it's just, or even something simple like, hey, I designed a ladder logic program, and now I see the lights green at the right time and red at the right time. It's just, not to get too deep, but maybe it's about control, Dave. Maybe it's about control over our environment that humans struggle with so much. And here we are, just the ones who can control it. But anyway.
Well, great, Sam. I think it was a great kickoff, and we'll get this posted out there, and then keep their eyes open for episode 1, which we'll start talking about some market trends and deep dive into some technical topics. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.